Welcome to another edition of the Membership World podcast, and I'm really delighted to have with me Rona Hunnisett, who is the Deputy Director for Logistics UK. Rona, it's lovely to see you here again following our chat a few weeks ago.
Lovely to see you all, and thank you very much for the time to talk about something that I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, which is generation logistics. I mean, when we were talking last time, of course, many associations and trade bodies, it's not just about advocacy and policy making and bringing members together, but it's also about really promoting the industry as widely as possible, not just amongst your members, but also about encouraging young people and women into logistics. And I was really fascinated to see and for you to really just tell the story of what you've done and why did you go about creating the campaign and perhaps some of the results. And I know you've even won some awards as well. So do share all, Rona.
Well, I think let's go back to those heady or not so heady days of the pandemic, where all of a sudden people went, oh, I can't get any pasta, or I can't get any toilet roll those days. And people suddenly realized that there is an industry out there called logistics, which is really the basis of all other industries within the economy. So we call ourselves a foundational sector. But as an industry, logistics has a long-term recruitment issue, or had a long-term recruitment issue, generally because people didn't know we were there. And you can only join what you know. You can only be what you know and what you see. And at the time, there was a real problem recruiting people into the industry, because if you'd said to the average teacher or parent or indeed man on the street, most of them would have said, well, I don't know what logistics is, but yeah, go and be a teacher, or go and be, go and work in retail, go and work for the armed forces. You can only talk about what you know. So we, as the sector body, I guess, got together with another sector body, CILT, the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, which looks after individual members of the industry. And we basically galvanized the sector to change things. And we've changed things really, really differently in the last 2.5, 3 years. And we've pulled together this campaign called Generation Logistics, really shining the spotlight on the industry and saying to young people, you've got all these amazing skills, we can use them, we can give you really exciting, interesting, well-paid jobs in the sector, doing what you like and what you do best, to the good of our industry. And it's been phenomenally successful. So we really turned around and said, well, there's no point in thinking about TV advertising for this, because it's not A, it's blooming expensive, and B, this is not where our audience wants to play. They are on, to the most part, they are on social media platforms. So that's where we need to be. And we need to show them that our industry is full of people that look like them, sound like them, do things that they do, have the interests that they've got, and that the jobs we're offering are just as exciting as all the other industries that are out there, so that they can consider us. We're not saying, they've definitely got to come and play in our space, but at least think about us, because at that point, the majority of people were saying, well, I don't know what logistics is, so why would we want to come and work with you? So we've created platforms across most social media platforms, everything from Snapchat to LinkedIn, putting out messaging and sharing stories about the sector, making what is an invisible sector visible, and showing some of the more sexy angles, I guess. So, moving a tour for Coldplay, really exciting. Getting beer to festivals.
Behind the scenes content that when you think about logistics, it's not just about food and drink. It could be something like, exhibitions, conferences, or concerts.
Absolutely.
So,
In the last week, we've been talking about blood deliveries in London, and we all
Mm,
know London has a particular traffic problem. The
mm,
NHS's procurement team has started using drones to deliver blood to hospitals in London. So again, really interesting, quite sexy, very
absolutely.
different, providing an absolutely vital job, a vital role that people probably don't think about unless it's directly affecting them, and actually
Mm.
showing that there are these incredible jobs that need to be done, which young people can actually latch onto. So they could be into, I don't know, the environment. Well, we are all about green careers at the moment. We're looking at decarbonisation. We're looking at changing the way that even warehouses are built so that they are more sustainable. So they have more solar power, more solar
Mm.
heat. They're not actually just these big sheds. They are more than that. And we're shining a light on all the different roles within the industry. And actually, to do that, what we're doing is using young people who are already working in the sector as I guess,
Ambassadors.
our role models. And
Yeah.
they're our mouthpieces. They don't want to see some long in the tooth old lady like me. They want to see, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds who do the same things that they do at the weekends, that have the same interests, the same hobbies, so that they can share their own personal experiences of being within the sector, and hopefully attracting new young people into the jobs that we have.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, actually, many people will have probably seen ice road truckers.
Yeah.
Then there was the Eddie Stobart series, wasn't there, a while ago, and they were shining a spotlight on all the experiences of the drivers. And I've actually been watching some YouTube only recently about some of these massive container ships, and being able to really spot exactly where those containers are. And I think you and I had this discussion a few weeks ago, isn't it? Is the whole manifest and what goes on behind the scenes at the ports, and it's a fascinating story and insight, isn't it?
There's a great example in The Wire, actually, from a few years ago, where they did a whole series around Baltimore Port. And you can actually pinpoint where your container is at any time in the world. So if
Mm,
you've got young people who are really good at playing Tetris, this is a great job for them, because they can actually restack the boats, which aren't, the containers aren't strapped down, but they know at any point in the process where their product is and what's going on. So there are jobs in this industry that are appropriate for anybody, whether you are mathematically inclined, whether you're very creative, whether you're into the environment. Let's face it, all memberships associations need people who work in personnel, for example.
of
But
course I do.
again, if you don't know what goes on in those big white buildings on the side of motorways, at the side of ports, at airports, if you don't know what's going on inside, you don't know to ask the question. And
Mm,
what we've seen is, when you talk to young people, there are only about 12% of them who say, oh, actually, now you told me about it, I wouldn't consider it as a
mm,
career. And
mm,
that's the reaction we want, because we were starting with a base of very, very low awareness for the industry as a whole. And now what we're doing is, I guess, essentially opening the box and saying, look inside. We're not saying that everybody is going to come and work for us, because otherwise, there won't be any jobs for anybody else in other sectors. But at the
mm.
same time, what we're doing is shining a light on something that they hadn't considered up to now.
No, I love it. I love it. I mean, presumably then some of your outreaches included universities or schools or something around the area of creating intern programs and helping your members consider how the structure of such a program might look like.
Yes, I think the thing that people have to remember is that Oh, sorry, something's ringing. You have to remember that outreach to schools is really difficult and it's very
Mm.
expensive. And actually, what we've done is we've used social media to reach those people. We have
Mm.
created education packs for schools, for colleges, for apprenticeship programs to use. Because that's a much more cost-effective way of doing it. And we have a week of activity called Generation Logistics Week, which is coming up in a couple of weeks,
Yes,
where
I saw.
we focus on schools and colleges and apprentices. But you can be a graduate coming into this career, you can be an apprentice, you can be a graduate apprentice, you can study at university, or you can come in at the very bottom. And we've got examples within our case study program of chief execs who started off literally sweeping the floor in the warehouse, and they've progressed all the way through to being, as I say, on the board and running the company. So I
Right,
think,
great.
as an association and as an industry, we are very willing to accommodate whatever people want to do. We want more women, we want more people of color, we want people who are keen and enthusiastic and willing to learn. And if they come in with that kind of attitude, what we're saying with this campaign is there is a job for them.
Absolutely. So, talk to me a little bit about the results. What sort of feedback have you had? Anything in terms of numbers would be great. And I know that when we last spoke, you'd won some awards as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So,
We've been very, very fortunate. We work with an agency called Ilk, who are phenomenal. They are very, very strong in marketing to this sector and this age group, and the results have spoken for themselves. We've so far won 15 awards. We've got 3 awards that we're shortlisted for that are coming up in the next couple of weeks, and I'm fingers crossed we might pick up another couple there. But it's not really about the awards, it's actually about the reach and the outreach. We've had 5.5 million social engagements on social
wow.
media platforms in the last 2 years. Most importantly, we've driven 6.9 million engagements overall. So people are saying, well, what are you doing? And that's people who are saying, we like it, we want to do something, we'll share it with a friend, etc., etc.
Mm.
We've driven over 1.3 million hits to our Generation Logistics website, which is generationlogistics.org, where you can go on and find out all sorts of things about all sorts of careers within the industry. You can actually apply for entry-level jobs, so apprenticeship schemes, traineeships, all those kind of things. And most importantly, we've improved sentiment about the industry. So how people feel about the potential to have a career in logistics. We've increased that sentiment by 212%. So when
Wow.
we started at a base of not very much, people are now much more inclined to go, oh, actually, I like that as an idea. I might think about it. I'm more positively inclined to think about a career in logistics more positively. And that is all we can hope for.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Rona. I'm so delighted for you, and I can sense your enthusiasm and energy, which is palpable. So, if anybody wants to find out more about Logistics UK, where can they go? And particularly, you mentioned the Generation Logistics website. We'll include that obviously in the diary notes as well, or show notes rather.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
So yes, search Generation Logistics on whatever your social media platform is of choice. As I say, we're on everything from Snapchat right through to LinkedIn. We do a lot of activity there. We also, one thing I haven't mentioned, which I should, is our next gen activity, which is targeting our younger audience, so our 10 to 14-year-olds. So before they even get into secondary school, we targeted them with games and that kind of thing. And that's gennext.org. So have a look there. But yes, generationlogistics.org is the website, and logisticsuk.org is our website. But do join the campaign and look out for Generation Logistics Week in a couple of weeks, because there'll be lots of activity going on with schools activity, lesson plans, outreach through our careers plan. There's loads going on.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I'll do my bit to share any of your stories as well. So
thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rona, for joining us on the Membership World podcast.
My pleasure. Lovely to be here.